Hi guys, welcome back. I'm going to use some old school dies today. So I've got Tim Holtz Alterations and this is the bell jar, and I'm going to use the stand part of it, and I've cut that out using some very shiny gold metallic paper, and then I've got clearly besotted Sweet Treats stamps, which are the most hysterical guinea pigs ever, and a folk art plaid stencil, and I have a card base that I've got in my stash, which is Calypso Coral Stampin' Up! Cardstock, and some mixed media card for the base piece. I've also got some Distress Oxide in Gathered Twigs and Ground Espresso that I'm going to use, and the Speckled Egg and Weathered Wood Distress Oxides as well to create the background. So I will apologize though, because I went back to my glass media mat and there's just so much reflection everywhere, so I will figure it out. Right, so what I should have done in hindsight is I should have taped the back of the card. Once I'd lined up where I wanted it, I should have actually taped, this bit's not so bad, but the rest of it is, you'll see it keeps slipping. I should have actually taped the stencil to the back of the card, to the back of the stencil, and that way it wouldn't actually move while I'm trying to ink it. This bit is fine because I'm only making a solid piece, and I managed to stick it to the card as well as the stencil, so it held it in place quite well. And I'm just using both browns here just to create what will be the table, if you like, that the stand is going to sit on. So very simple, it's just using the edge of a stencil for a straight line. So I'm trying to think about other ways to use product that I already have, which, yeah, we can all use that. You don't want to, not use your product in more than one way. I just think it's good to get as much out of it as you can. So a bit of cleanup. Gotta say, I love this media mat, but when you're filming it's just difficult. I can't get rid of the reflection. Right, so this is where I should have actually, once I knew where I wanted to put it, I should have actually taped the card at the back of this, not the way I've done it here. It just didn't hold it and didn't want to hold it properly, so you'll see it'll slip a few times. Eventually I can sort of make it work, but just to start with I'm like, well, not like that, but it sounded like I don't know what that sounded like, but anyway. So I'm basically slip number one. I'm basically lining it up and using the plaid part of the stencil to create a background. Now I do want a very soft background, so I've got the Weathered Wood to start with, which is quite a soft color anyway, but I also didn't want the harsh lines, white lines that you'll see. As much as that is great for a lot of looks, I didn't want that for the whole background. I just wanted this really subtle plaid style background. So you'll see in a second here, I will show you there that you can see the white, and it's quite it's not harsh really, but it's sort of, it's very much there. So I wanted it much more subtle than that. And here's slippage number 2. So and it'll do it again. So yeah, so I took the Speckled Egg and went over the top of this just to tone down the white part and the white lines. See, just it's got a mind of its own today, and it just tones it down a little bit. In the end, because of all the faffing I was doing with the stencil slipping, I actually wanted to go back in and make those lines more defined, but not stark white like they were. So just bringing the Weathered Wood back in just to redefine those lines a little bit. Nothing major. I mean, it's not like it's still very subtle is what I'm trying to say very badly. So that's the background done, and now I'm bringing in some water, of course, because I have to spritz and splatter everything when it comes to distress. But again, it just adds a layer of texture in the background that isn't dimensional, but it's there, and it just adds a bit of I don't know, it just adds something to it. It just adds a bit of I was going to say fun, but it's there's another way to say this, but anyway. So I've got my very shiny plate stand. Is it a plate stand? Is that what it's called? Anyway, and I'm just going to add some dimensionals to this just to lift it a bit, give it a bit of dimension, just so that there's something more on the card. You could have stuck it flat, would have looked fine, but I just thought it needed that lift. So let me get all my the backings of the foam off, and then I'll just stick that onto the, I guess, the tabletop. And now to arrange all these hysterical little guinea pigs. They are so funny, I'm sorry. All of them. And I had another idea of what I could do with this card today. I could have actually had them all in this like kitchen scene where they've all just plowed into all this food, and they've just got themselves stuck, because that's what it looks like. And I just think it's so funny. They're basically, it's like they're, I mean, you could use this at Halloween and they could all be like dressed up as food, but I thought this was so sweet and funny at the same time, because they're all like inside the food. I don't know, I just thought it was funny. Maybe that's just my little brain, but I think they're hysterical. So you've got one in a waffle, you've got one in a macaroon, one in a croissant, then you've got the donut dude, there's one in a stack of pancakes, I mean, hello. And then the top one, I just think it looks like he's about to roll off there. He's got his head stuck in a cookie, you know, chocolate chip cookie. So I don't know, I thought it was fantastic. So clearly Besotted, again, another local company that I love, supporting local, like I said on my previous video. And it's just, I just adore it. So thanks for that. So the sentiment I used was from the same stamp set, and it just says have stacks of fun, and I just thought that made sense with them all stacked high up on top of each other. I just thought it worked really well for this card. And I'm just getting some tape now on the base card, and I'm going to do my usual trick and just open it up and turn everything sort of sideways, upside down. The piece of mixed media card that I used for the background is slightly smaller than the card, but the actual card base, I thought the color worked nicely with the color of the guinea pigs. I thought it worked really nicely with the sort of orangey tones that I made them. I can't remember if I said, but I painted them in some Margello Mission Gold paints. I stamped a whole bunch of images one day, and just, in fact, it was all my clearly Besotted ones, and I just sat and painted them all. And I think that's a good way, if you need that form of therapy that I think art provides for a lot of people, then that's a good way to do that. Just stamp a bunch of images and just play with different mediums, whether it's your pencils, your paints, your inks, whatever it is. Just have at it and just play. Don't think about what card you're making, don't think about what project it is, just paint or color or whatever it is. So and you know, anything from, like I say, painting, markers, pencils, whatever it is. And then I have these little, these are clay hearts from Lucy's Cards. Again, another local company, love supporting her. They are, you get tons in a little bag, and they're super inexpensive, but they are so cute. And this one reminds me of candied hearts, because the colors are just perfect and they worked really well. And I realized here that I've missed a glue dot that I shoved on there. You guys know I'm not very good with random stuff, but I found that if I just dot glue randomly, just without trying to think too much, then things turn out a bit better than if I try and plan where I want to put the little sprinkly things. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This was a fun card to make, and I dragged out, again, like I'm trying to do with a lot of my projects now, trying to drag out some old product to bring and use. So I hope you guys are doing the same. So my old product for this one was my Tim Holtz alterations die. So I hope you guys do the same and just get stuck in to something, even if it's just for therapy. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.